All right, so we haven't done a video like this in a while where we're sitting down together, but honestly, hang on, we got a helicopter. But honestly, I needed some help with this video. It's not necessarily my strength.
Answering questions. Like,
See, I already don't know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're doing today, you guys submitted some great questions. So what we did is we broke those questions up into categories. Yeah, it'll just make it a little bit easier for you guys to go back and view and to, I don't know, get answers to your questions.
So,
The first
category
is going to be
Who can brumate?
Who can brumate?
Who can brumate?
Yeah, we had so many questions of people asking us how
Like,
old?
Yeah, do under 1-year-old tegus brumate?
Yeah, we had a lot of people ask that.
What are signs you shouldn't... Wait, no. Is there a certain age and size a tegu must be to brumate? Do all ages go into brumation? How old do they have to be to go into brumation?
So let's go ahead and get into that right now. So,
okay. So who can brumate, Joey?
Who can brumate? Anyone can brumate. So we get that question so much.
Can I brumate?
Especially during this time. Yeah, right? It sounds kind of nice, but not. I couldn't brumate.
No, you couldn't brumate.
I like to
I
do
could
stuff.
brumate.
So, yeah, now you're just distracting me. So, let me, hang on, refocus my mind. So,
Okay,
yeah,
who
we
can
get that
brumate?
question a lot. This time of year, people ask us, they have a tegu who's not a year old. They can just be, 4 months old, 3 months old, whatever. And they just got them or they've had them for a while, but they notice that they're slowing down. And yes, absolutely, your 4-month-old tegu can brumate. Your 4-month-old tegu can do a long brumation as well. But what I see most of the time with young tegus is a short brumation. Sometimes they just slow down and they don't fully go under, and other times they go down and they only stay down for maybe a month or maybe just a couple weeks, and then they come up and they're ready to go. So you just have to observe your animal and let them and just respond to what they're doing.
I feel like we'll probably come back to that a lot in this video, just like watching your animal and kind of responding to what they're doing.
That's a lot of what this is setting your animal up correctly and then observing them and
Okay.
responding to that.
Von G asked, I saw online that blues don't brumate. Is that true?
Okay, so I have seen that as well, especially before I got tegus, researching, I saw in multiple places and from some respectable people that I've learned a lot from say that blue tegus do not brumate. But as far as my experience goes, with keeping blue tegus outdoors, they in fact did go down for brumation naturally. Now that's keeping them outdoors. With our seasons changing, they also went down for brumation. Now if I kept them indoors and just kept their lights on, maybe they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't kept an adult blue tegu indoors all winter in an enclosure with the lights on, so I'm not sure. So I have a question for you all. Y'all might have more experience than I do with keeping tegus indoors. So for those of you who have an adult blue tegu that you keep indoors all year, what are you noticing with its behavior when the season changes? For y'all that have blue tegus, are they going under or are they staying up? And I'm asking people who just keep their lights on. What is happening? Let me know down in the comments.
All right. What are signs that you shouldn't brumate a specific tegu?
Okay, what are some signs that you should not brumate a specific tegu? So definitely if you're having health problems, you do not want to brumate that tegu. If your tegu is emaciated for some reason, you do not want to brumate that tegu. So pretty much if your tegu just got a large wound, you may not want to brumate that tegu. If there's health problems with the tegu, then I would avoid brumation, heat that animal up, and that way its body can work on healing itself, because if those temperatures are low and it's brumating, it's not going to be able to heal itself the way it needs to.
Should I be worried if some of my tegus are brumating, some of them are not?
No, I mean, that's fairly normal, and from what I see here is a lot of them go down around the same time, but we see it, especially with the younger tegus, it's hit or miss. Some of them go down, some don't. Some go down for a long time, some just go down for a couple weeks. And with the adults, I try to get all of them to go down on their own outdoors, and then I transfer them inside. Some of them went down during summer when it was still over 100 degrees out during the day. We had tegus brumating. And then some still come out and bask when it's 50 degrees outside. So it varies between the different tegus, the different localities, but really it just comes down to like that individual and what it's going to do.
Okay. Now, kind of going from that is, should I force brumation?
Let's take away the word force, and I'll briefly tell them how to introduce brumation.
Sure.
Or, get it started. So I don't like the idea of forcing a tegu into brumation, like taking a tegu who is, their enclosure's hot, their basking light's on, they've been eating, and then just like forcing it into brumation, putting it in a tub, putting it in a cool place. You do not want to do that. But what you can do is you can slowly start to reduce the time that the basking light and the UVB light are on. I like to reduce those by 2 hours at a time. So typically during the summer, I have the basking light and UVB light on for about 12 hours a day in the enclosures indoors. And then, so once our days become shorter, I would change that to 10 hours. And then a week later, 8 hours. Then a week after that, 6 hours. And by that point, you should start to see your tegu responding to that different light cycle. Now, when I start changing the lighting in their enclosure, I also stop feeding. I like to not feed at least for about 5 weeks before I actually put them in tubs and put them into brumation. Okay, so once you start reducing your lights each week, that's when you can lay off the feed. And typically they respond well to that, because if they're not heating up, they're not as hungry. So not that I don't think you should force a tegu into brumation, but that's just like a quick guideline of how you can get your tegu into brumation.
So gently push them in the right direction.
Yeah.
How do I keep my brand new baby from brumating, or should I even bother keeping her up?
I would say don't even bother trying to keep her up. Just let them do what comes natural. Set up the enclosure properly for them. Nice deep substrate that they can go under and cool down. It's the healthiest thing for them, and it's what I think is best.
Okay. So we have a question here that says, is it okay if my tegu never brumates? This is the third winter and he's never done it that I know of.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say if it's a blue tegu, then I wouldn't worry, because I'm still on the fence if blue tegus need to brumate or not.
Okay.
So, but let's just assume that it's not a blue tegu. We're talking about a black and white or a red or a hybrid. So, as much as I would love to answer every single question in this video, like really confidently, this is one that I just don't have the data for. I'm not really sure. But I would say that, I brumate all of my adult tegus. One, I want them to reproduce for me. And two, I want to take care of them the best I can. Now, do they have to brumate? What if they don't? I don't know. That's something I would love to have more information on that.
We'd love to see a study on that.
Yeah, I would love to see a study. Like, tegus can live 30 years. What's the oldest tegu that's never brumated? Does it affect their life expectancy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, can a tegu just be awake for 15 years? And if they're awake half the year, every year, then they live 30? And if you keep them awake all the time, then they just live 15? I don't know. I don't know how all of that works. But I do know that tegus are very hardy and adaptable. And, so it's tough to say. So in conclusion to that question, I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I don't necessarily think it's bad if a tegu doesn't brumate. And I also don't say that you have to brumate your tegus. So I'm kind of in the middle there. To be determined on that one.
That's the answer. That's what we got. Okay, so that brings us to our second category, which is, where should I brumate my tegu / like temperature control? And that's what we're going to start with. First question, though, is about where you brumate yours. And the question is, you do poke holes in those containers, don't you, so they can breathe?
Yes, so all the containers have holes in them. Yep.
Okay. Relinda has an Argentine Tegu. Tex wanted to stay under the couch, but I put him in his case with fresh organic peat, water, and covered the glass to make it dark. My question is, what do I do? I've left the case so he can get out if he wants. I live in West Texas where the weather is crazy. I've set his case temp to 70. Do I just wait till spring for him to come out and eat?
So if he's in his case and he's sleeping, then just let him be. He will come out in the spring. Now, you can check on him if you want.
That, yeah.
But what I would expect is once our weather starts changing and days start becoming a little longer and spring is here, he will start to emerge and start to bask again. And then before you know it, he'll be back to his usual self.
Okay. So Betty White the Tegu, they were just about to message you about this very subject. Asked, can I use hay or does it need to be straw?
So I've used both, but I learned from a subscriber last year that straw is better.
Okay.
It's a better insulator. So now I exclusively use straw.
And if the enclosure is inside but the temps drop below 60, it's a California room, will she be okay or should I bin Betty up?
So like I just said, we are keeping ours in the 50s. So perfectly safe if that room that Betty is in is getting down into the 60s, nothing to worry about.
All right. Hold on. All right. Ed Boy asks, can it be done in a cooler climate such as Tennessee and can it be done outdoors?
So yes to both of those questions. I mean, you could keep tegus outdoors in Tennessee and technically you could brumate them outdoors.
Okay.
All winter long. Now, not without some supplemental heating. So whenever I've made that decision myself, I was like, do I want to brumate them outdoors,
right,
and
heated.
Create little heated hides that just like take the edge off, keep it around 55 and all of that. The reason why I chose not to do that is because if you have a power outage, if a heating element breaks, things like that, your animal dies.
We've had stuff like that in the past couple of years, I feel like.
Where
our winters.
Yeah, our winters we have it is. Our winters have been dicey with power. So that's why I bring mine in, just to not have that risk, because if our power goes out and the tegus are inside, they're going to be fine. So you can brumate your tegus outdoor all year, but you have to have supplemental heating. You've got to keep them, in the 50s, the 60 range during their brumation.
All right. So this next part, we got quite a few questions, all kind of asking the same thing, which was, can they brumate like staying in their enclosure and lights on or off?
Okay. So when it comes to this question, there's something I do know and something I don't know. What I'm not sure about is the long-term effects of brumating your tegus at 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure. Now, lots of people do brumate their tegus in their enclosure, room temperature, and that seems to work for them. But I'm curious, you guys who are keeping your tegus indoors, how many of you are brumating them in their enclosure, and how many of you put them in a tub and try to find a cool spot to put them during the winter? So let me know down in the comments. Now, what I do know about this question is that if you're trying to breed your tegus, you definitely want to cool them down lower than room temperature. I'm talking 60 degrees, 55, 60 degrees. You want to cool them down during their brumation, and that will definitely help your odds out when it comes down to reproducing.
Sounds good. Okay, Braden asked, how much fluctuation in temperature is okay for tegus in brumation?
My brumation loft is set up and it fluctuates about 5 degrees. Anywhere from about 56 to 61 degrees is where it typically is at. Now, I will say, keeping tegus outside in East Texas, our weather fluctuates a lot before they even go into brumation. So we have days in September when they're still outside where it'll be 80 or even warmer during the day, and then drop down to 50 at night. That's a big drop, and they all seem to do perfectly fine. So, but now once they're like really down, I do think less fluctuation is good and natural, because in the wild, they're brumating underground. There's not much fluctuation in temperature when you're 4 feet down underneath the ground, if any at all. So I think the less fluctuation,
The
the better. But they can handle some fluctuation.
Because again, they're hardy and adaptable.
Yep.
So Teresa asked, how slow do you drop temps? What's the bottom temp?
So I drop temps naturally outside. So it really depends on like what the weather is doing. Now, indoors, we talked about that, cutting your lights back 2 hours every week until they're completely off. And as far as the bottom temperature goes, well, whenever I was researching tegus, I saw that with black and whites, you want to brumate them at around 55 degrees. And I saw with red tegus, you want to brumate them at like 60 to 65 degrees. Well, what I ended up doing, one, because I didn't have two separate places to brumate them at. And also I have some hybrids and different things like that.
Yeah.
So I just put everybody together and picked a medium. So that's why I brumate mine. I would say the average temperature is about 58, 59 degrees for all of my tegus.
Yeah.
And it's worked.
Perfect.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it helps you out a lot. Now, this was only part 1. We still have a lot of questions to go over.
Yeah.
Part 2 is going to come out next Monday, and it is going to cover the topics feeding and caring for your tegu during and after brumation. So that'll be the 2 parts in next Monday's video. Thank you guys for watching. Hey, if you guys like Audrey being in videos, let her know down in the comments. Help me out. I want to get her in more videos.
No.
Drop it down in the comments how you enjoyed having both of us in today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.